Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rose the Static Investigator. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rose the Static Investigator. So, there's nothing to talk about today. Just kidding. So, let's get started with the protection. I'd like to ask for protection. A beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources. That it create the good and not the good. So it is. Okay. So nothing happened later. There's nothing. Right, guys? What the hell? What the hell? Oh. So I'm drinking this thing. I was like, oh, maybe people are going to think it's a beer. No. This in Brazil and I think Argentina too, they have a tea called mate. I think they call it yerba mate, something like that, MAATE. And I realized I bought on Amazon the powder to make it. It's just like you just put it in water and it tastes exactly like what I used to have, especially the one you would get it at the whatever store. Like the one you make at home would not be as good as this one, so I'm so glad. Anyway, so that's what I'm drinking. It's not beer. I don't drink. I barely ever drink it. Just to explain. Where do we start? Where do we start? So I know, of course, a huge things happened yesterday, but because I had gone to Kamala's event the day before, I was really processing, and it had a really profound effect on me, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But that's why I didn't do any. Like I couldn't. I was just working on. I ended up doing something else that I had to do, but there was like because of what happened at the Kamala event, just how it affected me. So, so I'm going to get into it. Okay. And I think part of it is that it was for me, it was a profound transformational experience seeing her in person. And I had this energy in me that it was hard to process because it was a lot of different emotions. And then it was also staying with that and not being contaminated by trashes events or whatever, right? So I was dealing with that kind of a processing and then doing my own things as a result. So let's get started with here. I ended up making a it's very organized presentation. So let's see. So I made some notes here. So it was a really intense day. It was a very transformative experience. Okay, so how do I even begin to talk about it? So of course it was very intense because not yesterday, the day before. I during the day I wasn't even sure that I was going to go because I had this very heavy feeling the whole day, and at some point I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go." Around 5 or so. It's not that I didn't want to go. It's that I was worried something could happen. But I went, of course I did. I sent you guys pictures. And so it was just dealing with the intensity during right that day. Also, you may know or not know, I mentioned sort of discreetly on the comments on the title of one of the things I posted that Corinna did not come to meet me for the event because she has a health issue, an eye pressure issue that she really cannot travel by. She can't fly. I mean, it's not advised, right? Because she had somewhat high eye pressure, and it's not advisable to fly um, under those circumstances. Okay, and so Karina is also she's actually very affected by the energy, as you know, and what's going on is okay, stop share. Okay, I don't know. Let's see. No, I just asked for the portion of screen. I hope it's not showing. Okay. So anyway, so this was that. This was the background of getting there, and then I got there, and I had her. So it's interesting because I didn't want to give the ticket I had for her until I got there because I thought, oh, what if it's postponed and then she can come? And then when I got there, I gave it to somebody who she was this young woman with her two sorority sisters. I think they were scammed, honestly. So they found tickets. So everybody went in, and that was nice. And then I also, so before I get into the actual what she actually said that I remember, because I honestly I don't remember everything, and I saw that there were a lot of people recording the whole thing. I wasn't, and I think it's because I wanted to be present. Does it make sense? Sometimes when you're recording, it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of stressful. I just wanted to be there, to be just to be a spectator, and I'm sure there will be people who record this, like who recorded that event. And so, okay, so now, and then another thing to mention that during that day, I started, it was that, or the day before, I started listening to her audiobook. But to be very honest with you, I was taken aback by some of the things she said at the very beginning. She started talking about Biden's health and details such as saying that he had a neuropathy uh, in his feet and then he couldn't walk. His gait was, it was just something like that. And I just felt like it must have been, it just, something about it felt really private that I didn't want to hear, honestly. And, uh, and I think I talked to people on that day. I looked for why could she have done that? I think it's because truly a lot of people in Biden's camp were undermining her. Okay. She was very honest. I think it's also, um, it's just this commitment to truth. Okay. But like I said, it's difficult, right? Like I think too, I thought that we would be in a better position on the day that this happened. And I think I'm learning that the truth is, I say it's in a way it's like what we see is real, but there's so many things happening that it's like we take it day by day. Does that make sense? Um, because it's a lot. And I think, and when I was sitting there and it was almost random, honestly, my seat, because I remember the day when the tickets went on sale. By the time I reached the thing, it was a resale ticket. So I just got whatever was first. I didn't think much about it. And then it turns out it was like 3 rows from the stage, but it was not a lateral seat. So I couldn't really always see their faces. But, but it was like, wow, I really still feel like she won. And the fact that this is the person that I believe won, and she's not technically the serving, like she's not, if she hasn't been sworn in, she's not serving as a president. It felt like it's just this, it's like all this stuff, right? All these emotions happening. So now about so then okay. So guys, it's just interesting because as I'm talking to you, I just feel like I think you guys probably want to hear, right? It's okay. Just feel free to skip to the new sections, but let me see. But that's what I'm going to talk. I'm going to go over the different parts, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot of different things. Okay, so all right, so now I'm going to just copy the thing that I had there. So what I took from her presence. So of course, like I said, I was sitting there, and then I like being on stage, like right close to the stage, and she comes in, and of course she's beautiful, she's glamorous, she's very charismatic, she has a presence about her. But what I thought, it was like so wonderful, it was really wonderful, is this like it's almost like you're beamed into this place where there's like the reality, not the reality, the circumstantial situation with trash doesn't exist. It's like being in a place where we're in a community of supportive people. And that is the reality. Does it make sense? I think a lot of times on the internet, even though we have the community of people who watch my videos, for example, and other people's videos, we still have to be exposed to that thing. But being there, it was just so powerful. And I felt like and the one thing that she said, and I think that's what I took from her presence, is that to not be afraid. It's like, don't, the most important thing is to not be afraid, because to stick to the things you want to do and your beliefs, because that's what they want. They want us to be afraid. The other thing that she said, um, the moderator asked her a question, I think, about what is most surprising to you. I think it was a question. She said how quickly people capitulated, and how all these corporations, you would think that they stood for something, they very quickly capitulated. So again, I would say warning, but don't get into fear and don't capitulate. Okay. And then, okay. So another thing that happened there that really affected me, I think, and I'll tell you, towards the end why, was a question. Somebody asked a question. I didn't even know this, that I guess you could have submitted questions before the events, but the moderator asked questions at the end that were submitted by audience members. Now there was a woman, I don't know if her name was Layla or something like that, with L, something like that. So she asked the question. Her question was, I'm a young woman starting in the corporate world. What advice do you have for people who want to succeed, but are in an environment where others don't want her to succeed, who don't want her there, something like that? And to be honest, I don't even remember exactly what she said. I think I missed one more word of the. I honestly, it's a bit blurry, like what she said. I don't remember exactly what she said, but that question stayed with me a lot, because in a way, it was something that I kind of was going through. And so that was, I think, maybe, and again, it's one of those things where I think if I believe I've recorded that, and I will share with you. Okay. No, I didn't record this part, but let me pause, because I think I may have a video about another thing that I picked up. I actually recorded. Okay. So I was reviewing the videos. I really did not make very many videos at all. I was carrying a water bottle. I had the bag. So I didn't really, okay. But at one point, she was talking, and I yelled. I said, "She won." And then there was a lady behind me. She's like, "Yep, yes, she did. She did." Mm-hmm. And then I said, when I said he stole the election from her, that person said, "Yep, he did. She won. That's right." Kind of like and I feel like she heard it, and I could pick up something in her body language, like she was kind of happy, like she had to hide it, kind of, that she knew. She also knew. And I don't think I'm going to, relitigate this, like why they don't talk about it. I'm sure they can't for whatever reason, but she knows. I think she knows deep down. Okay. All right. So this is that part. And then there was more. That's right. And so I met people. Okay, so that was great. I met the people that Julie and her daughter, they got the tickets that I had given away. And then I met also Rabia, who watches my videos. I had a great time. And I met Crone. I met Kathy and Crone. It's a channel. I don't remember her first name, but it's another channel. But anyway, so Arabia and I talked, and we ended up actually taking a bus down from Fifth Avenue to where the area where we live. So that was so fun, actually, to see New York. And it was like something that a lot of people who live here don't even do, because Midtown at night is kind of interesting with all the lights. And then there was more. What else was I going to say? Okay, so that was great. And then as we were coming back, I went to CVS, but it was raining so hard. It was really, really, one of those rains that I was soaked, but that was okay. It's like, it felt like a release. Okay. So that was great. Okay. And then okay. And then this is the thing that I'm going to talk about next is a little bit, I don't think it's TMI, but it's personal. Okay. And then it's kind of the reason why I didn't make a video yesterday. So as I was processing this, I kept, like I said, feeling that feeling of like she could do anything. She's like she asks for what she wants, even when she knows people don't want her to be there. That's the thing that I got right from her. So there was this thing that I think sometimes talk about it, like this whole like whistleblower thing. But this whole time I was like stressed this last few months. I was like, oh, are they going to contact me? Because I helped some people. And even though I went to the SEC, I still felt like I wanted some sort of recognition from them. But so then I applied I realized, you know what? Why don't I, instead of like waiting for people to write to me, I should write to them and tell them what I want. And that's what I did. I mean, it was a kind of an intense message because there was all this research that I had done that I had to send to this person anyway, but it felt so good. Does this make sense? Because a lot of times people like us are like waiting. Oh, it's like, no, you say what you want. Because usually people in power, right? It's very easy for them to kind of pretend that we don't exist, right? But in this case, I did do something that helped them a lot. So, and I kind of created a very positive outcome for them. So I feel like I need to spell it out exactly, because I used to have this like, I say fantasy is kind of like almost like, oh, they're going to meet them, they're going to do this, they're going to say that. And it's like, no, 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 no. You are going to tell people how you want to be treated. You're going to tell people what you expect. And it's up to them. They can say no, they can negotiate, whatever it is. But if you don't do it, no one else will. Does it make sense? So that was the thing that really that I wanted to talk about, why it was so powerful. It's like when you were like bathing in that glow of Kamala, then you feel you could reconnect with your power, and you know ask yourself, what would Kamala do, right? So that's what I did. So it felt so good to me, because I think a lot of times in life, it's like a lot of us may expect other people to do things for us, but we have to be the first ones to do it for ourselves. So it felt very wonderful, liberating. And it was also a way to let go, right? Let go and let God going forward. But it was, again, very cathartic yesterday as I was writing this, okay, something else. My God. Guys, related to this, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So maybe I should create a different channel, but I finally found the financial connection. I found the Russians connected to Peter Thiel in the stock market and the transactions that they were doing together. Like not exactly Peter Thiel, but somebody very close to him. So I was like, boom, that's it. That's it. The market manipulation that I talk about, I found the proof. So it's big, I think it is, but it's too technical for me to make a video, because it has all these like very complicated trading things that I have to explain, and it's not. And that's what I like, right? That's what I like to do, very detailed, but it's not necessarily for the channel. But just know that it felt like that this thing is not going to be forever, and it's bound to collapse in a way or another. Okay, but it was great. So that's what I did yesterday. So see the positive power of Kamala, being in Kamala's presence. So that was that. Okay. And it was also, guys, after this wonderful experience, then look at there's all this stuff that Trash did, but I wanted to make it this moment after Kamala about me, not so does it make sense that I can breathe in her positive power and be like almost like infused with it, so that I can feel even more powerful, right? And not be in a reactive mode with all these things that Trash is doing. Okay, even though I'm going to address them next, but does it make sense? So that it's like I feel encapsulated and I feel as if I have digested everything. Okay, so So anyway, so this is this part. Now let's go to the news because I feel like finally I have said everything I wanted to say about the event. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next step. So just so you know, I posted a video about Elspeth, the painter who painted Kamala, and I realized that when the day that I had posted it, it wasn't on. I don't think it was, but now just so you know, you can go on her page and you can get her poster of the image. It's now there. I'm going to put the link below the video once I posted, right? Just so you know. All right. Okay. So you can get the poster of her painting on Etsy. All right. Okay. So then another thing before I realize there's a lot here going on. So before I started recording today, okay, let's just see here. I asked these questions for there was something called the Oracle of Rama, and I know it's based on the Bhagavad Gita, as this Indian book. I remember last time I did it, some people were offended. I hope it's not meant that way, but I used that for myself. And so I asked because I had used it the day before for me, and I find it very effective. So I asked, do we still have a democracy, right? Because look at what that guy's doing. And the answer was amazing. Okay, so let's go back to that. And that's okay, let's just see here. All right, so question, using the Oracle of Rama, do we still have a democracy? Answer, the number is 155. So you're gonna have to go through the book and find the chapter 1, section 1, and the first, I'm sorry, section 5 and number 5. So, seeing Lord Rama, the son of Solar Dynasty, rise, evil kings like owls left their perches to hide in the dark. It was as if Rama, becoming as Shiva himself, showed his might by breaking his own bow to vanquish arrogant men. The force of truth has come into the open. Oh, I'm covering the whole thing, am I? Let me hide. Okay. The force of truth has come into the open, and the powers of ignorance must retreat. One is victorious, and one's opponents must retire in fear and awe. The force of the divine appears through one's decisive actions. So I thought it was really encouraging, right? That in effect, truth has come out into the open, and this shall set us free. That is what this is saying. Okay, now let's go to the minor things that have happened. So this is the research I did for yesterday, guys, to be honest. Okay, I haven't looked into all the details, but this is, I think about yesterday afternoon that this was out. So a lot. So on the left, we have here, Danish media reveals that a Russian Navy Rapucha class landing ship has been spotted by helicopter lurking 12 kilometers off southern Langeland in Denmark with its AIS transponder switched off. So they believe that it may be the ship that is, that's where these drones are coming from. And then Lavrov, who is the foreign minister of Russia, saying that the EU and NATO have declared war on Russia and are directly participating in it. So we know that, if you watch my channel, that this is a real thing, right? That Russia has been upping these attacks on, we can say that these are attacks on NATO. And this is how they operate, right? They attack and they claim to be a victim. That's how they always work. And at the same time this happens, we have Hegseth summons generals and admirals for we're meeting in Virginia. So that's what we're going to talk about the next. All right, so let's start. So first is we're going to look at this. Hegseth summons generals and admirals for rare meeting in Virginia. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has directed numerous generals and admirals, as well as some of their staff from around the world, to come to Quantico, Virginia next week. U.S. officials confirmed to CBS News on Thursday. The Secretary of War will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week, said Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Purnell. There were no other details about the meeting given. Okay. Hold on. Wait, okay, here it is. So let's get to the questions. Why now? Okay, let's ask. Okay, so why now? Why now? Okay. Why is Hegseth? Because like I said, is it a coincidence, right? There's all these things happening from Russia. Then suddenly they have these meetings. It seems highly coordinated to me, to be honest. So why now, from his perspective? So it's interesting because right away I saw that he receives a letter. Like, I think it's fair to say, I don't think it's controversial that he has no thoughts of his own. He's just a spokesperson, right? He executes on whoever tells him what to do. Because before this, he was a Fox spokesperson. So I see that he reads this letter and he gets nervous, and it shows me an image of like almost like a calendar or a piece of paper. You try to bend it, bending some plastic or something that you have to push to bend, but it's really hard. And I see that it's bending them in their direction. And what I understood that to be is maybe the Russia thing, really, that to go in the direction of, is it helping? I feel like that's what I see, that bending them. Now I did not pick up that it's about I'm sure there will be the loyalty pledge or whatever, because like now you have to say, but the point of the meeting is this. And I see that, and then I see Lavrov with the clock. That time is now. We have to do it. And I see then it's like those trucks that crush metal, crushing. We have to go with force to close the doors. Remember the iron wall? What was it they used to call the USSR? The Iron Curtain, right? Something like this. That's what I think they want. But again, he's flustered and kind of like really sweaty and nervous as he's asked to do this. So then the next question is, what are Hegseth's plans for the meeting? So he wants to cut the military, close bases, and prepare for a war, some kind of war. He's saying Russia is not our enemy anymore. That's what I'm literally saying this. I have a question. A lot of people are speculating is he going to declare war on China, something like that, because we know that those people are destructive, right? They want to paralyze the country in a way or another. So is he say not immediately? He wants to change the chain of command. And immediately I see people like, we signed a pledge to the Constitution. And I see that, and he's like, we're fired. I think most of them don't. A few of them stay behind. But I see there's a break between the military. Like because he's not respected either. Okay. So some of them, I don't believe they will say that, but like, I'm not going to work for a Russian asset. No. And I feel like some of them are already, they're kind of planning things, right? I don't think that it's a secret to anybody. And of course it would leak because it was something, right? It's just this memo. Okay. Now, what will happen at this meeting? I see by the time there will have been a lot of contention, and there's something that will happen before it that will make them even less trusting and less kind of like they have contempt for him, really. And and I see it's interesting. It tells him by the time this happens, it it's almost like it becomes a joke, or there will be more things coming out about Hegseth that will make him just the whole thing, the facade, the farce of this is just comical. Even I know it sounds crazy because people are kind of afraid, but he's just, and I see him crying or something. It's just he doesn't have the wherewithal, like he doesn't have the gravitas to deal with these people. No, and they're just like kind of contempt. So, all right. So let's go to the next question now. How will these, again, let's see. How will these generals and admirals react at the meeting? Now, I didn't write this question down because, and it's an obvious question because Corinna and I think I've seen it all from the beginning that the military, right, are the ones who are going to take them down or stop this. Are they going to do something at that meeting? It's interesting. It shows me that they are not, they just feel like it's the issue of the Constitution. They say we're pledged to the Constitution, not to the president. And that's what we're fighting for, not you. Because I see that JD Vance is going to be there. And again, they're just so meek, very meek. And I wonder again if I, because I see that in the face of Mark Rutte, I wonder if something's going to come out about the election again. I still believe it. I still believe that the election was 100% stolen. I don't think this guy won at all. So, because I feel like they don't have any, they're not afraid of them at all. And they're not really, um, they're just, and it shows me Trump collapsing really also. And I wonder, is JD Vance preparing to take over? And I see some of them, good luck with that. And then something I'm picking up too, that Dick Cheney has called some of them. And it feels, I know it sounds crazy what I'm going to say, but I feel safe somehow. I'm not I'm not worried because the whole thing, the more, imagine those people, they're not serious doing these things, right? And the other thing, like I said many times, and I'll continue to say, is that in order for dictatorships to work, the military has to be on their side. And usually the person who does the coup or the head of whatever the military is doing a coup is a respected person. And there's no such person in the military right now. Does it make sense? Even the people that Trump appoints, nobody really respects them. So that's an issue. Okay. And again, I get a sense of safety about this, that I'm not worried about them following through. So again, I'm going to ask the question that may sound crazy. Okay. Oh, just see here. And what will, okay, well, how will military deal with obeying high level Trump orders? What will happen immediately after the meeting? I just like this. Is there a war? I see them, some of them, there's a flight, they go to NATO. I feel like by the time this actually happens, their plans will have been exposed for whatever it is that they had intended to do at this meeting. So the whole thing is just weak and useless, honestly. And it looks pathetic. They all look pathetic. Not, I mean, JD Vance and that man. Okay. All right. So, okay. And there was something else. So, okay. Next, this is related to this, of course. It's this NATO Russia thing. Kremlin makes no claim that NATO is at war with Russia. In other words, they are attacking NATO. Classic Russian propaganda. They are saying they are at war with NATO. How does this relate to Hegseth's meeting next week? Okay, so how does this? Oh, no, no, no. How does it? Hold on a second. How does this relate to Hegseth's meeting next week? So, how does this Russia announcement relate to Hegseth's meeting next week? No, I see that they had planned it, and then they get the letter on what to do. And yes, it's related. Okay, and it's saying that the plan is to drop out of NATO and to stop fighting Russia. And then it's funny, I didn't have a chance to even ask about Trump's switch. I remember when I talked about the telecommunications thing that was disrupted. On that day, Trump said, "Oh, I'm very pro Ukraine. I'm very this and that." I don't believe anything he says, really. And I want to see actions, not talk. I feel like and even did you see JD Vance said it, I think it was yesterday, that, oh, now Ukraine, we want to help Ukraine. Bullshit. They're lying. So, okay, so again, that's what I think. It's like an order of things. And I see I see Lavrov nervous. That's what they want us. Let's do it. And then, but what's interesting is that when the meeting ends, the Russians want to hear what happens. It didn't go according to plan. They did not get what they wanted. They didn't follow the orders. Okay, so I mean, I think Hegseth and co. All right, so I'm going to you pick up all these questions here related to this NATO attack. 3 questions. Okay, so what will be the outcome of Russia's attacks on NATO? How much longer can they get away with? Will Russia achieve their goal of using the USA military to defend Russian interests and attack Ukraine? So first, what will be the outcome of Russia's current attacks on NATO? They're ramping up. Okay, so today is the 20, let's say in a month, it is 26. What about October 26? Oh, gone. Yeah, I see what I had said before, that NATO is going to do what Turkey did in 2015. I talked about this before, that Turkey, when Russia was working with Assad in the Syrian civil war, Russia took advantage of it and flew several times over Turkish airspace. The Turkish president told them to don't do it, right? Or the head of military there, I don't remember exactly. And then they said several times, don't do it, because they did many times. And then one day they shot down the plane. And oh, this was so unfair. So unfair. And then it never happens again. That's it, stops. And that's what I see that they're using their kind of capabilities because they think they own Trump, which likely true, right? And they can do whatever they want. They can get away with everything. And chaos is more important to them than anything, except that this time is different. And they do something. Again, I don't know when exactly, but that's what I see, that the things are not happening. In a month, things will be different because that way they learn that there are consequences to their behavior. Okay. All right. So how much longer can they get away with it? Like, how much longer are these drone attacks? Because it could be that what if it's like Ukraine or something? They continue for years. How much longer can they get away with these attacks using drones in Denmark, flying over Estonia, Poland, whatever, right? So how much longer can they get away with? Say a month and a half. And then that's it. Because it's saying they're bluffing, right? And that's part of like, it's part of like how this works. And remember, guys, the World War II, the whole strategy of appeasement does not work, right? What was it? Was it Chamberlain? No, they're not going to invade. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. And it happened. So yes, they are confronted finally. When Trump is much weaker than he is right now. But it shows me that Trump is really wobbly. It shows me like a table, no wobbly table leg. That if you keep using it, the table collapses like Trump and his administration. Okay, so the next question is, Will Russia achieve their goal of using the USA military to defend Russian interests and attack Ukraine? I see they try. And it shows me the meeting with Hegseth. And they may try to be like, well, something even to the effect of we can be the middleman and send our troops there to help. And the military knows exactly. So you want us to help Russia? I think it may be brought up, honestly, but it's not going to happen. So no, I don't see the U.S. military. No, and they are like, I'd rather die than do this, like kamikaze style. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do it. No, it's not going to. And I feel very calm about it, very good about it. Okay. All right. Wow. Wow. So there's more, a lot more. So of course, this is not enough for today. There's more. There's more, more. So let's see. So there's James Comey. No. Okay. So former FBI Director James Comey indicted following pressure from Trump. The president recently suggested the attorney general should prosecute Comey and other prominent critics. Comey was charged with making a false statement and obstruction. What happened next to Comey? Will he actually go to prison? Okay. Okay, so let's ask. So what happens to Comey? Well, yeah, I don't. Okay, I have to ask these questions. I have to kind of go all the way. So, what happens next to Comey? And you saw that he was defiant. He said, I'm not going to obey some dictator. I'm not afraid. Bring on the trial," he said. So what happens to Comey? Will he actually go to prison? I see that have they detained him or something? Indicted? No, I don't. It's kind of no, because they need a trial, right? This is just an indictment. They're going to have to put him on trial for something. I don't think so. So it's that Trump. It's saying if Trump feels attacked, he knows he doesn't have much longer to stay in power. So he needs to project the fear onto others, the revenge, right? Especially with Comey because of the whole Russia thing. That it's so true, right? Everything that was uncovered was true, so much so that now he wants revenge, right? So will he go to? No, I don't feel like no, no. It's like show and show trial. Is there going to be a trial? No. I see the paper being ripped. Okay. All right. Another thing that is very shady that happened is Trump signs executive order facilitating TikTok deal. So this the TikTok deal. Okay. So very suspicious. Okay, that deal because it valued TikTok and 14 billion is almost nothing for a company like TikTok. It's worth, I think, at least 100 billion compared to income comparables, right? And it was like a fire sale when it's a very popular app. And who bought it? It's all these people that are friends with Trump. And of course they hate TikTok because that's where the Gen Z resistance is. They hate younger people too. I just feel like, and I saw finally like all this business feel like, oh my God, it's effective. It's not really like capitalism, really. So my feeling is that it's going to have to be overturned because it's like, it's not right. Okay, so what is going on with this? I just think the whole thing has to be undone. That's right. I see it being unplugged. And all those people are saying, all those people that did deals with Trump and got some sort of, it's a form of bribery, right? If you get like a huge discount on something and it's way below enterprise value, right? It's way below the normal valuation. You understand? That's right. I see that all those people that may have gotten it, like gotten a deal from Trump, are going to go to prison, but there will be investigations. And I know it sounds crazy because at this point, the justice system, where is it? We don't know, right? So there's more. My God, wow. There's even more, guys. Okay, so let's go share. So it's about, so the other thing that Trump did is Antifa. So Trump's Antifa order thrills allies and tests the law. It's another example of the president's going a step beyond the policy and visions of his first term. What happens next after this order? So, and this is a classic authoritarian playbook. Never heard of this thing. I don't think it even exists. Okay. So it's going to be a design a terrorist organization or whatever. So what the hell is what's going to happen here? That's right. They want to be like, it's you, it's them. Go arrest anybody who poses resistance. But I see that they really want to do a lot of those false flag operations and blame and make things happen to is truly the Nazi playbook, right? If you study Nazi history, that's what they did. They would create these attacks and increasingly would take up more and more power. And so that's what it is. So and I see, wow, I see an image of God, of Jesus saying, like looking down, no, don't worry, no. It's saying they're playing God, but they're not God. And I see them, okay, it does look like Jesus. I'm not saying it's just like, and then there's a trap door and they all, well, it's not a good idea to play with God because God is watching and God has powers and God will F you up. Kind of said it a little bit like this, but the trap door, and it's like straight to hell bus for all of them. They don't know what's coming. So the spirit world is very like, nice try. They don't, yeah, they're just like, Rosie, it's so going to be hilarious when this whole thing falls apart. And I see again, it's just why they had these authoritarian roles before, right? But we know that even if they have been elected fairly, because they weren't elected correctly, like they stole, it's a coup, right? They have to consolidate their power by blaming other people and criminalizing things. Okay. So this is it. And it's interesting, guys. I know it's not what I was expecting at all. I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but I feel so calm. It's saying that's why, Rosie, you have to address it. And even it's saying the fact that you had distance, that it was the next day, maybe you didn't deal with it immediately. Okay, so also that's a long video. I haven't done a video this long in a while. Okay, so thank you for watching, if you have watched thus far. And see you later, alligators. Bye.